Okay, the passaggio, the main passaggio, the zone that dare not speak its name. That part and it's a human thing, it's not just a female voice thing or a male voice thing. This is the zone where you come out of what is basically an open chest voice position and a more closed head voice position. That's the simplistic terms. I'm not going to go into the more complicated science of it for the very simple reason that I don't know anything about it. But I can hear it when it's right and I can hear it when it's wrong. So if we're talking about the R vowel, and everybody usually talks about the passaggio in relation to the R vowel, it tends to happen round about this middle B and round about this middle E, or maybe an F, round about there. All hell's let loose, because this is the passing over, the mixing of chest voice and the mixing of head voice. In the female voice, you've had your difficulties with it, as a lot of people do. If you don't have it naturally, some people do have it naturally. If you don't have it naturally, it's very, very difficult. Think yourself lucky, because it's actually relatively low down in pitch in your voice. For we poor men, it's particularly the lower voice men, it's quite high up, so it needs more muscular control. So it's a very tricky zone, but we're going to do it with you, and maybe you'd just like to explain a little bit about your history with this troublesome zone.
Of course, yeah. I think we've spent maybe 85% of the last 8 years worth of lessons in the passaggio zone, haven't we?
It's true.
I was self-identifying as a soprano until I was about 21. I took Pamina to a teacher and got to the end of Ach, ich fühl's, and the teacher just shut the book and said, well, you'll never sing that again. So my descent into the dark realms of mezzodom and then more lately contraltodom came after that. And when I first came to you, I hadn't really delved into chest voice at all. I just knew that I had this chest voice that was almost a kind of comic party piece, you know.
Well, you thought so, but I don't at all.
No, not at all.
It's very powerful and very beautiful, and you hear it with the likes of Dame Clara Butt and Kathleen Ferrier and Jelena Robratsova and so many more.
Absolutely.
It's a very authoritative zone.
Absolutely. And so it was kind of normalising that and really luxuriating in that facility that I had quite naturally, that was so thrilling. But the problem comes when you have to join that zone over the bridge to the head tones. And
if I may briefly say so, it's particularly difficult for you because once we found this zone, I mean, it's like a Heldon baritone. It's tremendously powerful. So the more powerful it is, it makes that bridge a broader zone to leap over, and that's, in a way, is why it's taken. I mean, it does take a long time. We are talking about years. This is the nub of the human voice. If you get this right, so many other things fall into place. So, but for you, because you were reveling in this very powerful bottom register, it made the bridge all the more elusive.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt, but just to
no.
my two penny thirty.
That's totally right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But do carry on. Or is that it?
Well, I think another thing to say, you know, you mentioned Clara Butt. I think it really was a revelation for me to start listening to contraltos, people like Clara Butt, Helen Watts, Marian Anderson, because it's thrilling to listen to any great singer, but the sort of deep bodily empathy that you have when somebody of your tribe starts to sing and you think, oh, actually, this is how my voice works. It's very liberating. Because previously, I think when I was listening to a lot of lyric mezzos, I felt that I ought to do some sort of approximation of that. And it always did feel like an approximation. Whereas this feels more like my mother tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. well, let's have a look at it then. So I think what has transformed this is just getting the Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass out and absolutely hitting the zone and going up in semitones and constantly polyfillering over it, really dealing with it in a meticulous way, rather than glazing over it and hoping for the best. And so we've sort of come to terms with the fact it's got to be done. You know, so many things have been achieved in your singing, and yet this, you know, successful as you are, this still, for me, wasn't quite job completed.
No. One thing that has been great for me is to give my voice space to find where it wants to sit. Mm-hmm. And I think I wouldn't want people to start trying to be a contralto if they're not. Mm-hmm. You know, I think I haven't decided to be a contralto. I think all the problems for me came when I decided to be something, when I had the mode of should, that I was sort of acting out a role. I think this exercise and all the slow work that we've done has stripped everything back so that the voice finds its way and so that I'm just attuned to what it wants to do, rather than me saying, I should be able to do this, or I have decided to be a Helden baritone, sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
Good. So you start at the bottom, don't you, and work your way up, which generally is the more difficult way. But if you can crack that, or I shouldn't say crack, should I, with singing, if you can deal with that, then job done. Coming down is easy by comparison.
Yeah.
And we will maybe just stop at certain points where you feel, yes, this is where things are happening, and then we can maybe just comment on that, and then we'll carry on. So where would you like to start?
A flat.
A flat. There you go. And you're singing 3 semitones, and then you're taking your breath and coming down 1 semitone and then singing 3 more. So you're just very slowly going up the steps. So
exactly.
This is the polyfiller part of it.
And we're doing it on quite a closed vowel as well, aren't we?
Yes. So R can be very difficult in this zone because it's the most spread. But a closed R or a closed O vowel. So somewhere there. So it's essentially an open vowel, but it's a darker, more closed open vowel. And I think that's a very good one to be on. If it was a very closed vowel like E, it would be too easy, and then you'd never get the more open vowels sorted. Yeah. So anyway, whatever vowel comes out. Natural, and we've talked about this before, that's where you suddenly feel there's a bit of movement. It's starting to mix with head voice. At that point you feel this going on, but it happens automatically and spontaneously. If you just leave the voice alone, keep following where the bloom is, the resonance is, the voice will be automatic going through this zone. It's so easy that it's very difficult for our clever human brains that like to be in control to perceive that. So very, very good, right? And also you're being wise. You and I know that you could sing this very powerfully if you wanted to, but in the early stages, if you sing too strongly, then you're only making the connection more elusive. Yeah. So we're starting on B flat now. And just for interest, it's all going very, very well. It would be good if you could now demonstrate the wrong way to do it, because if you on that B, we now know that on the B natural, in the male voice too, the baritones and the basses and even the tenors will feel a little bit of something going. If they're honest, and if they don't fiddle, they'll feel something going on when they hit the B natural. If you sing it in chest voice, though, if you sing it too open and then you work your way up, you'll come into difficulties. And maybe, I mean, sorry to throw you into this, but I think it's good to demonstrate what could go wrong.
Yeah.
So if you start too strongly, then the C sharp will come out in a very different place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might make you tickle a little bit as well. I mean, it's a wonderful sound, and you could use that D natural if you were singing powerfully as Eberle, you know, one of the Verdi characters, or so many mezzo characters. They're all often quite feisty, aren't they? But if you sing that too strongly and then you take it up, as you did there, by the time you get to the C sharp, you've taken it too far, and then you feel things are being dragged down, and it's not comfortable, and you feel stuck. You wouldn't be able to diminuendo on that pitch.
No,
and this is all this is about the blend. And then once you've mastered the blend, then you can take the odd risk here and there, or open things up, or whatever. So yeah, thanks for that. I think that's very illuminating. So we're on C now. So if I may comment, so that's D, E flat and E natural. For me, I felt the voice was again on the move from the E flat to the E natural, and you were coming to the other side, the top part of the passaggio, and finding your way into a more head voice position.
Oh yes.
You're losing something of that open quality. Not completely open because it's a mixture of the two, but that's starting to dissipate now, and you're very much in the kind of higher fluty normal zone that we expect from particularly the higher female voices. So we'll just do a couple more, so you've got safely either side of it. Right, so this is E flat. So you're in a safe haven now. You've gone through the zone without any hiccups. You were careful. You weren't singing in full voice, but that helps to blend things. And anybody listening to that couldn't honestly hear the join. You can't hear where the join is. You know that you're starting in an open chest voice position, and then where you are now, you're in a more closed head voice position. But we couldn't pinpoint, really. I mean, obviously, we pointed out these places, but if you were listening to it, you wouldn't really be able to tell. So when you hear the great masters of this zone, like Helen Traubel and Margareta Matzenauer, and so many more, you do not know where the join is.
No.
Whereas with some who have, and it's useful to know this, but the chest voice and the female voice has sometimes got a bad name, because if you use it incorrectly, and particularly if you take it too high, it can be very damaging.
Absolutely.
And I don't like to mention any names unless they're dead. And I think Callas was one of them. So as she got more and more dramatic, Yelena Suliotis was another one. These very dramatic roles they were singing, they were using these powerful chest voices, but taking it too high. And in my view, that's perhaps the main reason, not other reasons, why they lost the quality of their voice and the technical prowess that they want, both once had to miraculous degrees.
Yeah.
And so it can be very dangerous. However, if you get it right, and if you obey the very simple, not the Gary Coward rules, but the laws of how the passaggio works in the human voice, by simply following it and seeing where the voice goes to, not where we want to put the voice, then it will blend itself like that, and you can then use powerful chest tones with impunity when you need them, as long as you keep blending, and then your voice will remain totally healthy right into old age.
Yeah. And I think when we first started working on this zone, obviously when you're really trying to improve your instrument, you can try too hard, and you want it to be concert ready, you know? You want to be able to sing in the passaggio zone fortissimo, but actually giving yourself permission to sing even piano in that zone means that you're kind of nurturing this embryonic sound which will grow. So I've really appreciated that more gentle approach. And I think sometimes, even on concert days as well, you know, you think that a lot of colleagues that I talk to, you know, they say, oh, I woke up in the morning, I've got a concert tonight, it's going to be an awful day. You know, you test your voice out and you think that instantaneously it should be there. But actually I find sometimes when I'm not feeling sort of tip-top, that actually practicing piano or mezzo piano and just sort of caressing the voice almost, you know, you can kind of nurse it back to health. And then you often surprise yourself by being able to sing fortissimo once you actually get out on the platform. So it's been really helpful with the passaggio zone particularly to be quite tentative in a way initially, and to really ascribe to incrementalism. I think that's something that we've worked on a lot. When I first came to you, I wanted a sort of panacea for all ills, and actually the panacea for all ills was to just keep doing these exercises day by day, and the best kind of progress was then almost imperceptible, because it was so atomized in a way.
Well, you know, I completely agree, and in my time I've read many autobiographies and biographies of the great singers, and they all talk about, well, not all, but most of them talk about a certain exercise routine that they've got for themselves and that works for them, not in a kind of, oh, aren't I wonderful, I do my exercises, but simply because that's how they were taught, and they know that it keeps their voice in good condition, like any pianist, like any instrumentalist, like any athlete, like any dancer. You know, it's only singers who sometimes can sort of get away with it for a while, because if you don't keep your voice fit, even though you're doing a lot of singing, then it will start to age, maybe prematurely, and it will probably start to tire, and probably in the worst case scenario will deteriorate as well. So it's you know, it's good that you mention that as a successful singer, that you're still doing that. Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Job done on that one.
Thank you very much.